Strengthening Armenia, The Case for Continued Diaspora Support, by Samson Avedian, published on March 7, 2024. We are living in stressful and unpredictable times. It seems as though wherever we turn, there is an abundance of polarization and raw emotion, not to mention conflicts in both larger and smaller countries, whether they are developed or not. The situation in Armenia is no exception, given the national security issues, the loss of Artsakh, and recent geopolitical developments. The past few years have been quite traumatic, leading to much soul-searching about the future and potential solutions. Despite these challenges, the economic rebound in recent years has been significant, at least preventing a further deterioration. Few would have expected the present economic growth numbers in Armenia a couple of years back, and the construction and the associated investment activity have surpassed expectations. In Armenia, people have responded to this unpredictable context in different ways. Some have offered voluntary assistance to Artsakh refugees, others have participated in defense training with various NGOs, and some have helped construct defense structures. There have also been efforts to develop dual-purpose technologies and science and technology initiatives. Some people have started cross-border collaboration and investment, and a wider range of real estate activity has allowed many to refocus on the future and escape daily stresses. Yet the prevailing uncertainty hasn't disappeared. Most people in Armenia have simply become accustomed to the limited benefits of discussing it. Even starkly differing opinions among friends and family are mostly accepted and even respected. One might interpret these developments in a positive light as an indication of societal maturity. A less favorable interpretation is that this might be manifestations of apathy and resignation. From various comments, reflections, and discussions on this state of affairs across the diaspora, the situation seems somewhat different. Not being physically present and perhaps language barriers may skew perceptions. Having lived abroad myself for almost 2 decades, I can attest to the fact that interpretations often differed from the reality on the ground. Even after returning home, it took time to grasp all the domestic nuances and dynamics. It's not that one becomes less patriotic while living abroad. In fact, many may be more patriotic than the average local resident. It's possible that the distance can distort information and create a feeling of having even less control than when one is present. Many of our compatriots living abroad have contributed significantly and continue to support numerous initiatives, particularly those related to Artsakh, ranging from infrastructure to education. The loss of Artsakh has indeed led to significant trauma and disappointment, not to mention anxiety about the future of Armenia. Living in Armenia, one cannot escape it, while being abroad can allow for a degree of detachment if one so desires. It's easy to lose hope, place blame, or question the prospects of a sovereign, strong, and independent Armenia. When is enough enough, one might ask? All countries experience difficult times, periods of turbulence and uncertainty. These times shape societal character, provide insights, and spur maturation of both society and state. One could argue that progress has been slow, that many years were wasted, and that questionable assumptions and discourses were apparent years ago. However, we must deal with the current reality. Many institutionalized practices have developed over the years, making them difficult to reverse quickly. On the other hand, there have been many areas where new revelations and insights have become apparent within society. There's a growing appreciation for education, science, and technology, which is a positive development. The expansion of domestic and diaspora Armenian capabilities is another. An increased tax intake is yet another example. Armenia is currently experiencing one of its most vulnerable moments as a state, making the need for constant support and friends critical. While it's important to have various opinions on domestic policy making and politics in general, it's also important to remember that nothing is eternal. These differing opinions put relevant urgency and spotlight on things that need to be addressed. However, support and efforts should not be paused in anticipation of more favorable policy settings. Numerous commendable diaspora initiatives and investments in education, science, and general investment flows will take years to materialize, possibly during different policy climates. A stop-and-go approach would prolong the state of vulnerability and weaken future outcomes, even when policy leanings may be different. The other side of the policy table may also have opposing opinions. There may never be a time, at least in the foreseeable future, when everything is calm and settled. It is likely we will have to adapt to enduring uncertainty, building immunity, defenses, and capabilities throughout. There are, of course, country examples of this, like Israel. Expectations and discourses certainly shape current activities and future outcomes. Specifically in economics, Expectations and optimism are often the primary drivers of investment activity and thus future realities. It's easy to be negative rather than hopeful and positive in current times. Yet without hope and optimism, it's difficult to envision much better times ahead. They are key to inspiring drive, effort, and motivation, especially when Armenia needs it most. Persistent efforts in areas like education, science, and technology have historically improved country outcomes, be it in the short or long term. As such, there are plenty of reasons to believe that while the journey may be difficult, better outcomes are indeed possible.